어쩜 이렇게 시간이 안 가는지 정말 버스 안에서 고잉 이불 속에서 고잉 고잉은 언제나 너에게 고잉 고잉.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Khaerunnisa Dwi Wahyuningrum. I am from class AG3 and I am a 5-semester student at Alauddin State Islamic University, Makassar, and I am from the Faculty of Adab and Humanities, Department of English Language and Literature. What this video is about? In this video, I will discuss 3 important points from the discourse analysis material. Things I will do in the video and also tell the structure of my discussion. In this video, I will answer questions and provide a brief explanation regarding the material from discourse analysis, which has 3 discussion structure. Namely, the first, the urgency of studying discourse analysis in English language teaching. The second, discourse analysis in English language teaching. And the last, the scope of discourse analysis. A. What are the reasons for studying DA or discourse analysis? Studying discourse analysis or DA offers many benefits and insight in the study of language and communication. Here are some reasons why learning discourse analysis is valuable. The first, understanding language context. Discourse analysis allows individuals to study language beyond isolated sentence or word. It focuses on the broader text or of communication, considering how language functions in different social, cultural, and situations contexts. And the second, communication skill. Discourse analysis help individuals develop effective communication skill by understanding how language is used to convey meaning, negotiate power, and achieve various communicated goals. And the third, cultural sensitivity. Cultural sensitivity is important for effective communication in a global world where individuals often interact with people from different cultural backgrounds. Identify power dynamic. While studying discourse, individual can identify how power relationships are constructed, maintenance, or challenged through the use of language. The 5, critical thinking skills. Analyzing text and conversation using discourse analysis methods help individuals question assumptions, recognize implied biases, and engage in more thoughtful and relative communication. The 6, professional and academic writing. This knowledge benefits those involved in professional and academic writing, helping them adapt their use of language to specific contexts and audience. The 7, social interaction and relationship. This knowledge can improve interpersonal communication by providing insight into turn talking, politeness strategies, and negotiating meaning in everyday conversation. Next, teaching and education. Discourse analysis is valuable tool for educators, especially those involved in language teaching. And 9, academic research and inquiry. For researchers, discourse analysis provide a methodological framework for investigating language use in various contexts. The 10, media and communication science. In this era of mass media, discourse analysis is very important to understand how language is used in media representation, advertising, political discourse, and other forms of public communication. 11. Legal and forensic context. Discourse analysis has application in legal and forensic context where linguistic evidence is very important. In short, studying discourse analysis is valuable for gaining a comprehensive understanding of language used in a variety contexts for fostering context effective communication and developing critical thinking skills that can be applied to a variety of professional, academic, and personal settings. B. What are the differences between discourse analysis and error analysis in terms of their genesis and focus? Discourse analysis or DA and error analysis or EA are different approaches to the study of language, each having its own origins, focus, and goals. Following are the key differences between discourse analysis and error analysis. The first is even discourse analysis or DA. The roots of discourse analysis can be traced back to various disciplines such as linguistics, sociology, anthropology, and communication studies. This emerged as a response to the limitations of traditional linguistic analysis, which focus primarily on isolated sentence or structure. DA seeks to understand the language used, examining how language functions in various contexts and social interaction. Meanwhile, error analysis or EA, on the other hand, has its roots in applied linguistics and language teaching. This is gaining prominence as educators and researchers seek to understand and address the error made by language learners. EA aims to identify and analyze mistakes made by learners in order to improve language teaching methods and material. And the second focus, discourse analysis, main focus in the study of language beyond the level of individual sentence. Discourse analysis examines how language is used in context, taking into account factors such as social structure, power dynamic, cultural influence, and the way in which meaning is constructed in communication. Meanwhile, error analysis focus specifically on language error made by the learner. It aims to identify patterns of errors, understand the sources of this error, whether they arise from the mother tongue's interference over generations of rules, etc., and use this information to improve language teaching methodology. The third scope, discourse analysis, is broad in scope, encompassing the analyzing of spoken and written language in variety of settings and genres. This might involve the study of conversation, narrative, institutional discourse, media discourse, and more. Meanwhile, error analysis has a narrower scope, concentrating on the identification and analyzing of errors made by language learners. This mainly concern error in grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and other linguistic elements. The fourth goal, discourse analysis, include the goals of discourse analysis include understanding the social and cultural aspect of language use, uncovering hidden meanings, and exploring how language reflects and shapes social reality. It is often used to gain insight into power relationship, identify construction, and communicating strategies. Meanwhile, error analysis, the main aim of error analysis, to inform language teaching practice by identifying and understanding the mistake language learners make. Educators can adapt their teaching methods to overcome specific challenges and facilitate more effective language learning. What are discourse and discourse analysis use theory? Discourse discourse in linguistic and related fields. Discourse refers to the use of spoken or written language in a social context. It goes beyond the study of isolated sentence and focus and how language function in broader communicative events. Discourse not only involves the word and grammar use but also the social, cultural, and contextual factors that shape communication. Discourse take many forms, including conversation, written text, speeches, and more. It includes the way people construct meaning, convey information, and negotiate social relationship to language. Um, Meanwhile, discourse analysis or DA is a research method and theoretical approach used to study and analyze language in the context of its use. The aim is to reveal the underlying structure, patterns, and functional of discourse. Discourse analysis is interdisciplinary, drawing on theory from linguistics, sociology, anthropology, psychology, and communication studies. There are several approaches to discourse analysis, each with its own theory and methodology. What are teaching and English language teaching? Teaching is the process of imparting knowledge, skills, or values to students. It involves facilitating learning through a variety of methods and strategies, with the aim of helping individuals acquire and apply information. Teaching can take place in informal education setting such as school and university, or in informal settings such as workplace, community centers, or through individual tutoring. Effective teaching involves planning, organizing, and delivering instructional content in a way that engages students and improve understanding and retention. Meanwhile, English language teaching or ELT, English language teachings often abbreviated to ELT, specifically refers to teaching English to non-native speakers. The main goal of ELT is to develop learning proficiency in English, which includes skills such as speaking, listening, reading, and writing. ELT is a special field in education that addresses the unique challenge and consideration associated with teaching English as a second or foreign language. What is the relation between discourse analysis and English language teaching? The relation between discourse analysis and English language teaching is important, as insight from discourse analysis can be applied to improve language teaching and learning. Here are some ways in which discourse analysis and English teaching intersect. The first, understanding the use of native language. The second, pragmatic competence. The third, genre awareness. Fourth, cultural sensitivity. Five, effective communication strategy. Six, listening and speaking skills. Seven, critical thinking and analysis. Eight, material development. 9. Language variation, discourse analysis, discuss language variation, including regional dialect, sociolect, and idiolect. Teaching English can expose students to different variation of language, improving their ability to understand and adapt to diverse linguistic contexts. In short, discourse analysis and English teachings are interconnect to share focus on language use. Discourse analysis provide tools for understanding how language function in context, and teaching English can utilize this insight to improve language teaching methodologies, material, and the overall communicative competence of learners. A. What is spoken discourse or refer to the theories? Um, Oral discourse refers to the use of spoken language in communication, which includes the structure and organization of utterance in conversational or speech. Discourse analysis is a field of study that examines language use beyond the level of individual sentence, which focus on how language is used in social context to convey meaning. Various theories and approach contribute to the understanding of spoken discourse. Here are some prominent theory. The first, conversation analysis, or CA, developed by sociologists Harvey Sachs, Immanuel Skelgoff, and Gail Jefferson. CA focused on the detailed analysis of naturally occurring conversation. It seeks to uncover the underlying structure and rule that govern the organization to talk in everyday interaction. CA emphasizes the sequential and turn-based nature of conversation. The second, critical discourse analysis, or CDA. CDA examines how language is used to establish and maintain power relationship in society. Developed by scholars such as Norman Fairclough, CDA analyzes how discourse reflect and reproduce social structure and ideologies, focusing on issues such as power, inequality, and social change. These theories offer different perspectives on the analysis of spoken discourse, each embracing particular aspect and language used in social context. Researchers often a variety of theories to gain a comprehensive understanding of oral communication. B. What are the differences between classroom and casual conversations? In classroom, conversation and casual conversations differ in many aspects, including purpose, settings, participants, and communications norms. Here are some of the main differences between in the two. The first, goal. Mm, uh, in classroom, in class conversations, the primary purpose of class conversation is often educational. Classroom discussions are structured to support learning objectives, facilitate knowledge transfer, and encourage critical thinking. The teacher guides the conversation to ensure it aligns with the curriculum. Meanwhile, casual conversation, on the other hand, casual conversation has various social functions. This can include sharing information, building relationship, expressing emotions, or simply engaging in social interaction for fun. The second is setting. In classroom conversation usually occur in educational setting, such as classroom or lecture halls. The environment is formal and participants often have specific roles, each teacher and students. Meanwhile, casual conversation, this can happen in various places such as home, cafe, park, or workplace. Casual conversation are less structured and can occur spontaneously in different social contexts. The third, participants in class conversations. Participant in classroom conversationally usually includes teacher and students. A teacher takes a more central role and learning facilitator, while students are expected to engage with the material and contribute to discussions. Meanwhile, casual conversation participants can be friends, family members, colleagues, or acquaintances. Power dynamics are often more equal, and there is no formal hierarchy like in a classroom. The fourth, language and list. In class conversation, the language used in class tends to be more formal and academic. Meanwhile, casual conversation, the language is casual conversation is usually informal. The five structure. In class conversation, this conversation often follow a structured format with a clear beginning, middle, and end. The teacher can guide the discussions with questions and is expected to stay on topic. Meanwhile, casual conversation, uh, these these conversations are often less structured and more free flowing. Topic can change quickly, and there may be interruption things and a more flexible conversation structure. 6. Feedback and evaluation. In class conversation, um, te- teacher frequently provide feedback and evaluation of students' contribute, aimed at assessing their understanding of the material and critical thinking skills. Meanwhile, conversation, feedback in casual conversation is more implied and may not involve formal evaluation. Participants measure the success of conversation based on social cues such as engagement, interest, and reciprocity. The reason for analyzing the discourse, classroom, and casual conversation. uh, Analyzing discourse, whether in the classroom or casual conversation, serves a variety of purpose and provide valuable insight for researchers, educators, and individual interested in understanding the dynamic of communication. The reason for analyzing discourse in this context is that analyzing classroom discourse help assess the effectiveness of teaching and learning strategies. This allows educators to evaluate how well students engage with the material, express ideas, and collaborate with peers. Examination of classroom discourse inform the development and refinement of educational curricula. By understanding how students interact with a particular topic, educator can adjust learning approach to improve understanding and retention. Um, Analyzing casual conversation help researchers and social linguistics understanding how individuals interact in everyday social settings. It provides insight into communication dynamic, social rules, and negotiation of meaning in informal context. Different culture may have different conversational norms, politeness strategies, and way of expressing meaning, which can be explored through discourse analysis. Casual conversation plays an important role in the construction of individual and group identity. Analyzing discourse help reveal how language is used to express personal identities, social affiliations, and negotiate roles in communities. Um, uh, Analysis of discourse in casual conversation can reveal various communication strategies, such as turn taking, ripple mechanism, and the use of discourse markers. Um, this information is valuable for understanding how effective communication is achieved in informal setting. In both contexts, um, discourse discourse analysis provides a tool for understanding the complex interaction between language, social dynamic, and cultural influence. This allows researchers and practitioners to gain deeper insight into communication process and make informed decisions for educational, social or cultural interventions. D. How to analyze the discourse. Example for analyzing the discourse. Um, Analyzing discourse involves examining the use of language in communication to reveal underlying patterns, structure, and meaning. Here are some examples and steps for analyzing discourse. The first, the first is transcription. Start by transcribing the spoken discourse. This involves converting spoken language into written form, capturing not only the spoken word but also elements such as pause, intonation, and nonverbal cues. The second, identify main themes and topic. Uh, Group discourse into themes or topics. This involves identifying subject or issue that are repeatedly discussed throughout the conversation. Uh, Pay attention to topic shift and transition between ideas. The third, turn taking analyzing. In conversation, analyze turn-taking patterns. Identify how participants signal the end of their turn and the start of another turn. Note interruption, overlap, and instance where participants give up opportunities voluntarily. Fourth, speech acts. Examine speech acts in discourse. Identify example where participants perform action through speech, such as making a request, giving an orders, or making a promise. Consider the illusionary force behind the utterance. 5. Discourse markers. Analyze the use of discourse markers. Identify words of praise that indicate the relationship between ideas, such as however, therefore, or on the other hand. These markers contribute to the coherence and structure of discourse. And the sixth, pragmatic analysis. Apply pragmatic analysis to understand how context influence the interpretation of meaning. Look for example of implicature where the speakers implies meaning beyond the literal word, and examine the prepositions embedded in the discourse. The seven, power dynamic. Consider power dynamic in discourse. Analyze how participants assert authority, agree or disagree, and negotiate influence. Identify example of dominant of marginalized voice. The eighth, cultural context. Consider the cultural context of the discourse. Analyze expression, idioms, or cultural refers that may carry a particular meaning within the participants' cultural framework. 9. Emotional tone. Assess the emotional tone of the discourse. Identify emotional expressions, attitudes, or affective stance. Pay attention to change in tone and their impact on the overall meaning of the communication. The 10 comparative analysis. Comparative discourse with similar of contrasting example. This comparative analysis can reveal variation in communication style, patterns of strategies across different contexts or participants. 11 critical discourse analysis or CDA. Or if in conditioning critical discourse analysis, examine how language contribute to power structure, ideologies, and social representations. Consider how language is used to legitimize or challenge dominant discourse. Next, reflection and interpretation. Reflect on the finding and interpret the meaning of the discourse. Consider the implication of analyzing patterns for understanding communication dynamics, relationship, and the broader context. What things are found from the analysis? The result of discourse analysis can reveal various aspects of communication, providing insight into the patterns, structure, and meanings embedded in discourse. Some things that can be found from the analysis are the first, communication patterns. Second, semantics context. Major themes and topic identify recurring themes, topic, or points that dominate the discourse. Meanwhile, speech acts introduction to various speech acts such as assertions, questions, comments, or promises and their function in conversation. The third, pragmatic insight. The fourth, social dynamic. The five, cultural nuance. Six, emotional tones. 7, contextual factor. 8, structural analysis. 9, quantitative tense frequency analysis. Quantitative data about the frequency of certain word, speech as of discourse markers which provide insight into pattern or tense. The 10, comparative insight, comparison, comparative analysis with other events or context or group, revealing variation of consistency in communication patterns. 11, critical discourse analysis or CDA. 12, overall interpretation, meaning and interpretation. Reflect on the meaning and interpretation of the discourse as a whole, taking into account the implication of the analyzing patterns. Discourse analysis offer a rich understanding of communication beyond the level of words, revealing the complexity of language used in different contexts. This finding can inform a variety of fields, including linguistics, education, sociology, and cultural studies. F. What are the implications of the analyzing result to teaching and learning speech delivered in ELT? The implication of the result of discourse analysis for teaching and learning speech delivered in English language teaching or ELT are significant. Understanding the patterns, structure, and dynamic of spoken discourse can inform pedagogical approaches to improving communication skill. Some of the implications are the first, teaching turns and participation. Implication increase awareness of turn-taking norms and encourage students to actively participate in discourse. Application provide opportunities for students to practice taking turns, managing interruptions, and contributing meaningfully to group conversations. The second, increase coherence and cohesion. Implication embrace the use of discourse markers for coherence and cohesion application. Teach students how to use discourse markers effectively to signal connection between ideas, organize speech, and increase overall coherence. The third, developing a politeness strategy. Implication is develop understanding of politeness strategies in speaking. Application provides example of politeness strategies and teaches students how to navigate conversation while considering the facial needs of others. The fourth, cultural sensitivity. Implication is recognize and address cultural nuance in speech. Application incorporates discussion of cultural difference in communication style, helping students develop cultural sensitivity and adaptability in diverse contexts. The five, teaching pragmatic competence. Implication, embracing pragmatic competence of effective communication. Application includes activities that focus on speech as implicature and presuppositions, helping students understanding the pragmatic function of language in a variety of social situations. The sixth, raising awareness of speech acts. Implication, increase awareness of various speech acts and their function. Application, provide explicit instruction about various speech acts and engage students in activities that require them to use language to perform specific function, each making requests, giving advice. The seven, intercooperating critical discourse analysis or CDA. Implication, integrating critical discourse analysis into language teaching. Application, explore social issues, power structure, and ideologies to language, develop critical thinking skills, and encouraging students to analyze language used in the broader context of society. Review important things that I described. In this video, the important things about discourse analysis material is the approach used to understand and analyze language in certain contexts, especially in communication situation. There are several important things that need to be considered in these discourse analyzing materials, namely, the first, communication context. Discourse analysis always pay attention to the context of communication. It includes the situation, place, time, and participant in a particular conversation or text. The second, discourse structure involves understanding the structure and organization of discourse. This includes how sentences are structured, how ideas are related, and how parts contribute to the meaning of the whole. The third, meaning and interpretation. Focus on understanding meaning in discourse. It can involve analyzing literal and connotation meaning, as well as how meaning may change in a particular context. And next, power and ideology. Discourse analysis often pay attention to elements of power and ideology. Maybe contents in language. This includes how language can be used to influence, shape opinions, or communication certain values. Next, cohesion and coherence. Understanding how sentence and ideas connect to each other in discourse. Cohesion relates to the relationship between parts in a text, while coherence relates to how ideas are organized as a whole. Next, discourse category. Recognize the types of discourse, for example, narrative, argumentative, descriptive, or expository. Each type has different character and structure. Next, critical analysis. Discourse analysis often involve a critical dimension, questioning assumption and views that may be embedded in language. This can involve questions about who dominate the conversation, or how language is used to hide or highlight an idea. Next, media and technology. In this area, discourse analysis often pay attention to the role of media and technology in the information and dissemination of discourse. This includes analyzing text in a form of video, image, or even names. It is important to remember that discourse analysis is a flexible tool and can be adapted to be a particular context or purpose. The above includes several main elements, but approach to discourse analyzing can vary depending on the focus of the research or analyzing being carried out. State my recommendation to teacher and learners of English. For teacher, introduce basic concept, provide real world example, interactive activities, encourage critical thinking, utilize technology, connect with language, professionally goals, feedback and reflection for English learners. Start with basic language skill, practice active listening, write widely, participate in discussions, analyze media context, see feedback, utilizing technology for learning. Remember, but teacher and students must approach discourse analysis as a dynamic and developing skill. Consistent practice, reflection, and willingness to explore different types of discourse will contribute to a deeper understanding of language use. Addressing gratitude to who make and support me to create this video. The first, I would like to thank Allah Subhanahu wa Taala for making it easy for me to understand this material well. I would also like to thank my parents who have given me the facilities to be able to make this video, and thanks my friends who have helped me so that this video is finished. I think that's all. Thanks. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.